The Book of Revelation describes a war in heaven between angels led by the archangel Michael against those led by the dragon, identified with the devil and Satan, who are defeated and thrown down to the earth. Revelation's war in heaven is related to the idea of fallen angels, and possible parallels have been proposed in the Hebrew Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Revelation 12:7-13. Modern Bible commentators view the war in heaven in Revelation 12:7-13 as an eschatological vision of the end of time or as a reference to spiritual warfare within the church, rather than the story of the origin of Satan. Lucifer is an angel who rebelled against God in primeval times. Some Christian commentators have seen the war in heaven as not literal, but symbolic of events on earth. In Milton's Paradise Lost, the angel Lucifer leads a rebellion against God before the fall of man. A third of the angels are hurled from heaven, including pagan gods such as Moloch and Belial. Jonathan Edwards said in his sermon Wisdom Displayed in Salvation, Satan and his angels rebelled against God in heaven, and proudly presumed to try their strength with his. And when God, by his almighty power, overcame the strength of Satan, and sent him like lightning from heaven to hell with all his army, Satan still hoped to get the victory by subtlety. In the Catholic Encyclopedia article Saint Michael the Archangel, Frederick Halweck wrote, St. John speaks of the great conflict at the end of time, which reflects also the battle in heaven at the beginning of time. He added that Michael's name was the war cry of the good angels in the battle fought in heaven against the enemy and his followers. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints teaches that Revelation 12 concerns an actual event in the pre-mortal existence of man. The Book of Moses, included in the LDS Standard Works, references the war in heaven and Satan's origin as a fallen angel of light. This image of a war in heaven at the end of time became added to the story of a fall of Satan at the beginning of time, including not only Satan but a third of all angels as well, referred to in the phrase the dragon and his angels. Motif. The motif of the fall of Satan and his angels can be found in Christian angelology and Christian art, and the concept of fallen angels is widespread. The Christian tradition has stories about angelic beings cast down from heaven by God, often presenting the punishment as inflicted in particular on Satan. As a result of linking this motif with the cited passage of the Book of Revelation, the casting of Satan down from heaven, which are the versions of the motif present as an action of God himself, has become attributed to the archangel Michael at the conclusion of a war between two groups of angels, of whom, because of the mention of the dragon's tail casting a third of the stars of heaven to the earth, 1/3 are supposed to have been on the side of Satan, in spite of the fact that the casting down of the stars is recounted as occurring before the start of the war in heaven. Lucifer's rebellion has been attributed to a number of motives, all of which stem from his great pride. These motives include, a refusal to bow down to mankind on the occasion of the creation of man as in the Armenian, Georgian, and Latin versions of the life of Adam and Eve. A similar view is held in Islamic tradition, in which Baal refuses to bow down to Adam. The culmination of a gradual distancing from God through use of free will. A declaration by God that all were to be subject to his Son, the Messiah. Hebrew Bible parallels Parallels are drawn to the passage in Isaiah 14:4-17 that mentions the morning star that had fallen from heaven, and was cast down to the earth. In verse 12 of this passage, the Hebrew word that referred to the morning star was translated into Latin as Lucifer. With the application to the devil of the morning star story, Lucifer was then applied to him as a proper name. The name Lucifer, the Latin name for the morning star, is often given to the devil in these stories. The brilliancy of the morning star, which eclipses all other stars, but is not seen during the night, may be what gave rise to myths such as the Babylonian story of Athana and Zu, who was led by his pride to strive for the highest seat among the star gods on the northern mountain of the gods, but was held down by the supreme ruler of the Babylonian Olympus. Stars were then regarded as living celestial beings. The Jewish Encyclopedia states that the myth concerning the morning star was transferred to Satan by the 1st century before the Common Era, citing in support of this view the life of Adam and Eve and the Slavonic Book of Enoch 29:4, 31:4, where Satan Sataniel is described as having been one of the archangels. because he contrived to make his throne higher than the clouds over the earth and resemble my power on high, Satan Sataniel was held down, with his angels, and since then he has been flying in the air continually above the abyss. According to Jewish thought, the passage in Isaiah was used to prophesy the fate of the king of Babylon, who is described as aiming to rival God. Dead Sea Scrolls equals. Some scholars discern the concept of a war in heaven in certain Dead Sea Scrolls, namely, the war of the sons of light against the sons of darkness, also known as the War Scroll, the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice, Song 5, and the Melchizedek document. In the War Scroll, according to Menahem Mounsur, the angels of light, who are identified with Michael, the Prince of Light, will fight in heaven against the angels of darkness, who are identified with Belial, while the sons of light fight the sons of darkness on earth, and during the last of the 7 battles described in the scroll will come and help the sons of light win the final victory. James Udavilla speaks of Song 5 of the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifices describing an eschatological war in heaven similar to that found in 11Q13 and to traditions about the archangel Michael in the War Rule and the Book of Revelation. He suggests that Melchizedek, who is mentioned both in the Melchizedek document and the 5th of the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice, may be a divine warrior who is involved in the conflict with the archangel Michael in the futurist sense. That the Melchizedek document concerns a war in heaven is denied by Frederick L. Horton, who remarks that there is no hint in the extant portion of the 11Q Melchizedek of a revolt of heavenly beings against the heavenly council, and the only dissenting spirit is the traditional Belial. The view of Davila, however, is that the document originally was about an eschatological war in heaven, with Melchizedek as angelic high priest and military redeemer. Gallery, War in Heaven. References. Further reading, Christopher Forth, Laurenti Stuckenbrook, The Fall of the Angels. Brill, Leiden 2004, ISBN 90-04-12668-6. Marek Hartmann, Haarparagraph-Linsnerian. Een analyse des Haarparagraph-Len Currentienis bescheidene Pochen Anhand von Haarparagraph-Len Darstellungen. Lit. Ma 1/4 NSTEO 2005, ISBN 3-8258-7681-0. Neil Forsyth, The Old Enemy, Satan and the Combat Myth 1987. External links, The Fall of Satan, BeliefNet.com, The Fall of Angels, devotionals.org, A Rebellion in Heaven, ChristoAndSurya.com, Lucifer, Jewish Encyclopedia, Fall of Angels, Jewish Encyclopedia.